Welcome to the earthvox podcast. The earthvox podcast. earthvox podcast.
All right, we are streaming live on Twitch, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Thank you for joining me. We've had no internet for the last 2 out of 3 weekends. Pretty cool, but we're back. I hope you got the audio only show last weekend. It was quite a challenge. I managed to upload it from my phone, recorded it on this machine, transferred the audio file to my phone, used my cellular data to upload it to all of the podcast platforms, and it worked. It took me 3 tries, but it worked. And hopefully all of the internet issues are resolved moving forward. Please take a minute to smash the like button, subscribe to the show, and share it with everyone you know, if you wouldn't mind. Today was planned to be a show with Mr. Kagiwara. Then it became a show by myself. Then it was a show with Mr. Kagiwara again. And now it's a show by myself. I don't know what to make of it. I'd appreciate your feedback. Send me an email, therealearthvox@protonmail.com, or at me at Twitter. Feel free to slide right into those DMs if you'd like. Be interesting to hear what you think I should do moving forward. Part of me wants to keep a consistent format. Part of me wants to have people on all the time and different people and have conversations. But part of me also wants to hit the current events and give you my opinions, because my variety of opinions or my opinions that vary from the opinions of the mainstream media, the talking heads, the political pundits, are what sort of spurred me to start this podcast. And if I just ignore all of the things that are happening, I feel like I'm kind of selling you short. But I woke up this morning to some very exciting news. It's finally happened after the longest time, and I'm so excited to share with you that the Joy Reid program has finally been canceled. If you're watching the video, you can hear it here, or you can see it here, and you'll know who I'm talking about. Joy Reid was a terrible racist, a very hateful propagandist, and she's gone, finally, after years and years of spewing her hatred. Her show has been canceled on MSNBC, and I can't tell you how excited I am. It was a long time coming, and it's what she deserves at the very least. I'm really curious. I have to ask Grok, how long was Joy Reid on MSNBC? Because I feel like every time I listened to her speak, it was a literal tragedy. Looks like she began as a contributor in 2011, took on various hosting roles over the years. Her first show, The Reid Report, aired from February 2014 until February 2015. Then she hosted AM Joy from 2016 to 2020. And then she transitioned to The Readout, which launched in 2020. weeknights at 7 until its final episode. Good riddance.
To begin our final sprint, having arrived at that point in the election season where basically we on this side of the TV screen have said all we can. We've laid out the stakes in this crucial election, where one side stands for freedom while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy, but also white-ruled South Africa before Mandela and the black majority took control, or Vladimir Putin's Russia, Viktor Orban's Hungary, or Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela today. That suppresses the rights of women
all racist,
and minorities.
We're all Hitler. We're all all of us are the worst person from any time period throughout history. Anyone that doesn't agree with the way the left thinks is the worst person in history. You know what? I'm going to take a swerve, a weave, because I just heard this. I just heard this morning, and it really brightened my day.
In a defensive scenario, you never want to go for the face. You always want to go center mass, or my personal favorite, the dick. If you make the mistake of trying to rob me, oh, you freaking dumbass. Guess what? You're getting a shot towards the dick. Reason being, the pelvis actually holds up the whole entire body. If you take that out, they are now immobile. And you get to shoot them in the dick more. Body armor, no problem. Shoot them in the dick. Someone's taller than you, no problem. Shoot them in the dick. Moral of the story, I'm probably going to shoot you in the dick.
These are the kind of things that save me from just doom spiral. Because there's so much hateful, filthy propaganda online that I it's one of the reasons I'm trying to steer away from constant politics. Even though that isn't really the case this week, because there's a lot of positive things happening in politics and policy that we can feel good about and we should discuss. Kash Patel has been approved. Bobby Kennedy's been approved. He's getting to work. But you still can't avoid all of the hate. I mean, have you noticed it? I feel like it's really ramped up on Reddit and on X, even though, and I kind of go back and forth. I get upset on one hand that all of these crazy Marxist, fascist, communists are on, and I know I just railed about, but this is, whether they know it or not, it's the policies that these people are cheering and reposting and spreading around to all of their millions of followers who may be bots. I think it's pretty common knowledge about 50% of the traffic on the internet is all bots, and they all exist specifically. Not all, but most exist to specifically push a narrative. So that's why you have constant fear. I saw a person showing off a sticker that they made for their online sticker shop that said, "Divorce your Republican husband." Divorce your Republican husband. Introduce your children to a broken family. A revolving door of new partners. Because you've been so brainwashed by the propagandist media that you can't find common ground with the person that you marry. I mean, it's completely outrageous. I don't believe anyone would do it. Although my immediate thought is of Adam Carolla's marriage that ended shortly after COVID, and I'll admit I dug into it. I went full TMZ. And because I wanted to know what happened, what really happened, why. And it's we just, whatever, all the really non-specific tropes of we just couldn't get along, we became different people, we couldn't see eye to eye on things, and we're really just staying together for the kids, and now the kids are out of high school, and I keep telling myself, or thinking to myself, It's because you were brainwashed, Lynette Carolla, by the mainstream media, and Adam was not. And it became irreconcilable because you went one way and he stayed the course, and the marriage ended. You couldn't reconcile. You couldn't come back from that edge. This was how my marriage ended. You cross a certain line. You cross a certain unforgivable line, and that's it. You can't go back. Not if it truly is unforgivable. But of course, divorce your Republican husband is clickbait. It's meant to create outrage. But there's other things too, like people that involve themselves in the labor conversation. I'm in some pro-unit subreddits, pro-union subreddits. And it's just been a constant bombardment of, oh, hey, union guys, do you all regret voting for Trump? Like the Teamsters Union, for example, supported Donald Trump by like 70%. And it was kind of gross. The leadership of the different local unions around the country, once they heard that the national union wasn't going to endorse a candidate for president, all of the locals, the local leadership immediately went out and said, no, we endorse Kamala. We don't care what the national union is. We endorse Kamala. Well, isn't that kind of why you guys lose and lose and lose on the left? Because you don't represent the majority. You represent your own personal interests, and people are sick of it. On the topic of labor, does anyone know? I mean, do any of these people even know who Donald Trump has actually tapped to be his labor secretary? Well, her name is Lori Chavez Demerer. Lori Chavez Deremer, a representative from Oregon who is very pro-labor, very pro-union. But it's not stopping anybody from telling you now the latest headlines are that, oh, she's actually, yes, Trump, you're not going to believe it, people. You're not going to believe it. But Trump's labor secretary is actually very anti-labor. Even though, as you can see, if you're watching the video on YouTube X or Twitch, and give me a subscribe and a thumbs up and a share while you're there. From the AP, Chavez Deremer has a pro-labor record that unions like. Imagine that. A pro-labor record that unions like. And I've heard Donald Trump described this way lately over the last couple of weeks, and I really like it. They say Donald Trump takes the side on any issue, and it's really heartening to hear things described this way. On any issue, Donald Trump takes the 80% and lets everybody else fight him on the 20%. Meaning, he takes the side that's supported by 80% of the people, and then lets the left try to fight him on the 20% because they have to take the opposite position. Have you noticed that? They can't agree with him on anything because they have to be so violently anti-Trump. It's nauseating. I mean, just have a moral compass. Have some kind of independent opinion that is your own. I don't agree with Donald Trump on everything. But I am forced to support Donald Trump because the other option is so absolutely insane. I'm really left with no choice. And I would like it to not be that way moving forward. And I'm hoping that that's what we are coming to with all of this, with all of these cuts and all of US aid being removed. I mean, for all intents and purposes, US aid is done. But that didn't stop them from, I was arguing with Grok yesterday or a couple days ago about the reports, the rumors that I heard coming out about US aid shoving out all of this money to NGOs and other entities quickly after Donald Trump was elected because they knew that the hammer was going to come down. The cuts were going to be made. And I think that's where all of this propaganda and online hate is coming from. They pushed out, I mean, this is the rumor, and this is what Grok didn't want to tell me. I had to go around and around with him, them, they for several minutes to get him to say, oh, that's what you were talking about. Yes, the 500 million that it was alleged USAID pushed out to all of its NGOs and other contracts that it had before Donald Trump could make the cut. So now we have a fully funded propaganda machine funded by NGOs. And these people, this is my opinion, very difficult to verify. USAID funds these NGOs that sponsor prominent online personalities to spread propaganda, to make posts endorsing a specific narrative. They pay protesters to show up at rallies to create the impression that there's a lot of public support for whichever agenda. And this is now what we have to fight against. These are the people online being so dishonest and so disingenuous. Yet you see, and it's all probably the same circle jerk. A prominent online personality makes a post, and then here comes the bot army to upvote it and leave positive comments and create this impression that there's actually a lot of public support for these insane ideas. And the only way to get away from it, the only way to protect yourself against it, is to be educated, be informed, understand that this is happening, understand that these aren't real people and real opinions. Even if they are a real person, it's not a real opinion. But it really pains me because I know that there's other people scrolling past the same filth that I'm scrolling by that don't know any better. They don't know that this is sponsored propaganda pushing a narrative to mislead them, to make their behavior more predictable. But Bobby Kennedy has gotten right to work. And this is what really gives me a kind of a positive outlook on all of this stuff. It's not slowing anything down. And I think I have links to some examples of that further down in the notes. But I have this headline from the New York Post. Bobby Kennedy getting right to work, talking about all of the things that he's going to begin with, starting with the headline from the New York Post: Americans on food stamps could be banned from buying bad food and sugary drinks, Trump USDA chief says, which is one of the subsidiaries of Health and Human Services that Bobby Kennedy is leading now. Americans on food stamps may be banned from using them to buy sugary drinks and other junk food, Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins said Friday. The newly appointed cabinet official said she will work with Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency to prioritize food stamp benefits for healthy food items. This is something that I've wanted for a long, long time, and that I've heard people complain about for a long, long time. You know, friends of mine that work at 7-Eleven, and they say, oh, this lady that weighs 300 pounds, it's like the remember Oliver Anthony? Do we need to play it? Do they even has he been completely banned from existence online because of his political beliefs? It's like this thing is all it's all just going to get worse and worse as we go. It's going to be like 2016 all over again. Nonstop propaganda, fear, and hatred because the establishment feels like this is what will get them their way. They feel like this is what won Joe Biden. They pretend this is what won Joe Biden the election in 2020.
Well, I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me.
So in this song, he says, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. And this is a pretty common complaint. This is why now, I don't know. Was Oliver Anthony a psyop? Maybe. I haven't dug into it. Wasn't planning on digging into it. But it does seem that he disappeared as quickly as he appeared. Which just strikes me as a little bit suspicious. I'm sorry if you like Oliver Anthony. I think it's a good song. It's not really it's not the style of music that I seek out when I'm going to listen to music, but it was a good song. It had a good message. Emotions were conveyed. And I wouldn't bring it up if I hadn't heard it from other people. It's not like Oliver Anthony is the authority in cultural and social issues. But you hear the stories about, oh, this lady came in, she bought a 24-pack of beer, she bought a carton of cigarettes and, whatever, a roll of chew cans, and then she bought her Fritos and her hot dogs and her Lay's potato chips and her breakfast cereals and her Pop-Tarts all on her food stamps. Oh, and cases and cases of Diet Mountain Dew. And I heard my friends that worked at places like 7-Eleven complaining about this. Why am I paying, they would say, why am I paying for her to buy all of this junk food when she should be eating salads? And hey, let's be honest, we should all probably be eating a little more salad throughout our lives. Well, maybe Bobby Kennedy's going to make that happen. And I even want to take it a step further because this was my idea for a potential solution. Everybody orders their, obviously not everybody, a large number of people get their food from HelloFresh, from Omaha Steaks, from Butcher Box, from Factor, frozen meals. Why? Maybe after all of these cuts that they're making to the government, we can afford to, I don't know, maybe source some ingredients from the farmers that we're all heavily subsidizing. Maybe you haven't heard. The American people pay farmers to grow crops to, I don't know. This is probably something we should ask Grok because I'm really curious. Hey, Grok, how much does the U.S. government pay in farm subsidies? That's probably right. Don't let me down, Grok. The amount the U.S. government pays in farm subsidies varies from year to year. Yes. Let's say I love doing this. Give me an answer in, I'll say 50 words or less. 10.2 billion. 10.2 billion. I'm going to say thank you. Because I'm polite, all right? I don't care that it's not even a real thing. 10 billion in farm subsidies, folks. So maybe we can say, hey, farmers, we're giving you 10 billion. maybe you could hook up these poor, neglected, down on their luck people with some of the healthy food that you've been growing on your farms. And yeah, we can talk about pesticide and atrazine and glyphosate and Monsanto and GMO and all of that stuff. There's like funny video memes on YouTube now about how, oh, you're eating that, you shouldn't eat that because this. Oh, you're eating this organic thing. Well, did you know that the FDA makes, certifies organic things based on this criteria, so it's not actually really organic? Yeah, well, hopefully Bobby Kennedy brings an end to that, because that's not the only thing that he's done. And I should check my profile, because he did give a speech not long ago talking about all of the things that he wants to take out of our food supply. And it's not even anything crazy. It's like things that they don't put in food in other countries, that for some reason our beloved FDA, Food and Drug Administration, allows these corporations to put in our food because, oh, it's cheaper. It's cheaper to do business like that. Okay, so I guess we'll all just die of cancer. It's another thing that's on the, it's in the conversation. It's in the cultural conversation now, a cure for cancer. The skeptical people think that they're going to use this cure for cancer angle as a way to sell us more mRNA vaccines. Okay. You know what? Having Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in charge of this process makes me feel a lot better about any potential products that will be coming out of Big Pharma in the future. Bobby Kennedy's going to be tackling the children's vaccine schedule, and we'll probably see an end to the constant pushing of, and this is one thing, like pro-vax or anti-vax or wherever you land in this conversation, ask yourself, is there a reason? Like what potentially could the reason be for giving a newborn baby 72 vaccines before they even leave the hospital? And what goes through your mind? I'll tell you what it is for me. The hospital wants to give a baby, a newborn infant baby, 72 vaccines before they leave the hospital because they're worried that baby might not come back to that hospital. So let's load them full of chemicals before they can get away. I mean, how messed up is that? Quick, get them before they can escape. Shoot them full of these drugs before the mother can walk. Don't worry, the insurance covers all of it. It's no big deal. Here's another video from Bobby Kennedy laying out his plans for HHS. Good news, I did save the video. Ha ha! Here it comes.
Last Thursday, President Trump signed an executive order to establish the MAHA Commission to study what has caused the precipitous decline in American health over the past 2 generations. So we will convene representatives of all viewpoints to study the causes for the drastic rise in chronic disease. Some of the possible factors we will investigate were formerly taboo or insufficiently scrutinized. The childhood vaccine schedule, electromagnetic radiation, glyphosate, other pesticides, ultra-processed foods, artificial food additives, SSRI and other psychiatric drugs, PFAs, PFOAs, microplastics. Nothing is going to be off limits. Whatever belief or suspicion I have expressed in the past, I'm willing to subject them all to the scrutiny of unbiased science. That is going to be our template, unbiased science. That's something that will make us all proud of this agency and of our role in restoring American health. Let's commission research that will satisfy all the stakeholders once and for all. Let's use protocols that we all agree on in advance. and not alter the outcomes of studies when they're halfway through and that they look inconvenient. Let's all depoliticize these issues and reestablish a common ground for action and renew the search for existential truth with no political impediments and no preconceptions. Finally, I want to ask you to think about.
He's a racist. He's literally Hitler. We can't work with him. We can't even talk to him. He's a horrible racist. Horrible racist, terrible person. How could you possibly work with Bobby Kennedy, who's a racist and a rapist? And that's another thing that I'm sure USAID has been paying for. People to come forward and tell their story of how Bobby Kennedy touched them, Elon Musk touched them, Donald Trump touched them, JD Vance touched, name it. Name any prominent conservative figure that has a message that people will rally behind, and I'll show you. I don't even want to be cruel. It reminds me of who was the woman? It's coming to me. The woman that accused Donald Trump of trying to strangle the Secret Service. Oh, I'm blanking on her name because, of course, I don't know. Maybe Grok can tell me. Cassidy Hutchinson. Yes, thank you. Got it before Grok. All right, we're still better. And by the way, I don't want to hate, but since I've been using these AI tools more for fun than anything, I have to say it's not very good. It reminds me of virtual reality, which I like to talk about because it was really, when I was probably 12 years old, the most exciting, engaging, and immersive video game experience I think still to this day I've ever had. I don't know. Cyberpunk 2027 or 2077 is up there. It's a lot of fun and it's really immersive, and I am having a hard time putting it down. But virtual reality gaming, I mean, of course, however many years ago that was now, was not good enough. Not good enough to get me to the point where today, when we have things like the Oculus and PlayStation VR and PlayStation VR 2, which may or may not be out now, not good enough to prompt me to go out and spend the $500, I think it is, to get I wonder if Grok knows, since I've got him pulled up here. How much is a PlayStation VR 2? Grok? He's thinking really hard about it. $549.99. Ugh, too much for me. That's like the price of a TV, dude. For little goggles. I mean, they're not little. They're big, and I hear they get hot, and they're not very comfortable, and so I'm out. I'm out. I want one. I want something like maybe you've seen the guy that's in like The Dish. It's like a big frying wok, and he puts these little booties on his shoes, and then he can run, and he's sort of contained in this little pod. That is getting there, in my opinion. But Grok has an attitude sometimes. He doesn't understand what I'm talking about. He can't tell me what song is being played. I mean, this is the first event that started turning me off on Grok was when I wanted to know what song was playing at the end of a video. So I linked him the video. I said, "What song is this at the end of the video?" And maybe that's asking too much. I'm sure AI experts would say, "Oh, well, here's why he can't do that, because blah, blah, blah." And it would be a tremendous technological okay, not that good then. Tell me all the reasons. Tell me all the reasons that it's hard to accomplish that with artificial intelligence. My opinion will still be, okay, cool. It's still not that good. I'm sorry. Maybe ChatGPT is better. I'm not interested in giving those people my money. Elon gets my money because Elon's saving my money still. And maybe he has 13 children now. I mean, maybe you heard that sensation. I'm really not interested. Ashley St. Clair, prominent conservative personality, is alleged now to have birthed a child belonging to Elon. And the media, of course, wants to blow it up. They want to make it a huge deal. They're alleging now that Elon won't talk to her. She has to go get a paternity test. She has to do all of these terrible things. And I just think to myself, sounds like pretty standard stuff that a board would request from their CEO when allegations of this type come down. They're talking about custody. They're talking about child support. They want to know, hey, you have now, Elon, the board says, now you have all of these responsibilities. Tell me, what are you going to do about this? How is it going to affect our business that we benefit from? And I think it's kind of gross. I think they should personally fuck right off because it's personal, it's private. And the only reason this came out is because somebody in the propaganda tabloid media found out and was going to make it a big story. So Ashley had to go out and get in front of it. Now it's a sensation. Now the left is trying to use it to attack Elon Musk and his credibility. And hey, it's not a great look. Why does Elon Musk have 13 children with how many different baby mamas? Let's ask Grok. This is going to be a fun show. Hey, Grok, how many baby mama does Elon have? You got another thing that I'm learning. You got to tell him to like 10 words or less. I don't want to read paragraphs, Grok. I'm trying to do a show. 4 baby mamas. That's great. I said 10 words or less, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well done. Well done, Grok. I appreciate you. That's not actually that bad. I mean, it's 3 more baby mamas than I like. It's 3 more baby mamas than I think really. I mean, if we're talking about my personal opinion, my personal thoughts and feelings, I think we should probably just have 1 baby mama that you call a wife and a partner till death do you part. That's just me. Just being sappy, I guess. But who cares? I mean, the media hides so many things about all of our politicians until it becomes politically expedient for the integrity of X person. That's that pun not intended, but I'll take it. Needs to be called into question because we got to twist that narrative. Oh, Elon Musk saving billions of tax dollars for the American people. We can't have that. How do we turn him into a bad guy? Quick. I need all of your ideas. Well, we could say he's got another. I mean, dude's got 13 kids now. That's a pretty, I mean, if that's the best you got, that's the best you got. I point to that the same way I point to the problems that Donald Trump has. We don't need to relitigate those. Not super glamorous. It's one of the reasons that I feel like politicians should have. I'm getting worked up. I gave myself the hiccups. Come on, deep breaths. What was I saying? Anyway, the point being, there are so many more deep-seated, terrible, horrific problems that we have with our politicians. They're people. You don't need to elect a person that will have a beer with you. You need to elect a person that's going to competently run your country, your state, your township, your school. But the media tries to make everybody think that this has to be a perfect person. Only when it doesn't jive with the globalist establishment's aim. And this is why Kash Patel was only confirmed with, 51 to 49, something crazy. It really is. I mean, I recommend you go out and look at the confirmation votes for most of the cabinets. They have like 2 or 3 votes against them from all 100 members of the Senate. Like, doesn't it like boggle anybody's mind? Isn't it kind of confusing for anybody else how we can argue so ferociously over so many issues? We can be so starkly divided as a population. But when it comes to the Senate, who's supposed to be representative of the citizens, when it comes down to cabinet votes, it's almost all unanimous until Donald Trump gets in and starts putting in real pipe hitters that aren't going to stand for it. They're not going to stand for the waste. They're not going to stand for the fraud. They're not going to stand for the evil things. Then there's tremendous pushback. Then it's questions of whether or not we're going to get through, whether or not it's legal. Like we gotta stop. We gotta stop him. We gotta stop him at all costs because he's literally Hitler. So the judges have been rolling out their protests. They've been blocking the orders, whether they're legal or not. But not one judge that you may remember whose name popped up in a certain Trump case from last year, from the last couple of years. The headline from Fox News: judge denies Democrat-led effort to block Doge access, citing lack of proven harm. What was this? What was this all about? A federal judge on Tuesday declined to block Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency from accessing government data or firing federal employees. U.S. District, here it is. Are you ready? Are you excited? U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan declined to grant the plaintiff's request to issue a temporary restraining order, citing what she said was their failure to demonstrate evidence of irreparable harm caused by Doge's access. Now, when I was preparing for the show earlier, I didn't want to rehash what Tanya Chutkan, but now I really want to know. So we'll ask Grok, what Trump case did Judge Chutkan oversee in, we'll say, 2023? It was something in New York. Was it January 6th? It was January 6th. It was the insurrection hoax, I guess we can call it. Now, this same judge that was happy to trample Trump's rights when he wasn't the president has now seemingly done a political 180 and is happy to support Donald Trump in cutting the bloat from the federal government. Now, why would that? How could that possibly be? Oh, well, because she doesn't want to get impeached by Congress. These rumors have already been rolled out. Congress is looking at impeaching appointed judges that are basically ruling illegally, because that's what's going on. I mean, give me a break. You think Donald Trump and his lawyers haven't looked over the last 4 years at how they're going to dismantle the federal swamp when he got back in? You think he didn't know that all of these judges and all of these congressmen and all of these liberal wackos weren't going to go hard on trying to stop him from doing the things that he's doing? Of course. Of course he knew that they were going to do that. But the judges are still going to go out. They're going to rule illegally. They're going to try to stop him. So it's going to have to go to appeal. And then I think And I would really like to see these judges impeached and potentially prosecuted. I mean, I want fair trials. I want fair, unbiased trials. Maybe even military tribunals. I don't know. Did he say it? Oh, he said it. Oh, gosh, man. Military tribunals. What is he, a QAnon supporter? Like Kash Patel? Oh, yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there. I'm trying to stick to my notes. I feel a lot more accomplished when I get through all of the content. And it's, I mean, honestly, it's a perk of doing the show solo. I'm only responsible to me. I'm terribly considerate and also very terribly inconsiderate at times. I guess that's probably just human beings. But when I have a guest or a co-host, I'm like hyper considerate of their time and how much time I'm asking them to spend sitting here doing this show with me. And then oh, I'm sorry about that. Did it to myself. That's all on me. Please don't unsub. Then they don't show up and I get all bitter about it. But that's the trick, isn't it? Keep them interested across the board. Trump is also working to expand access to IVF, in vitro fertilization. The thing that all the liberals said was next on the chopping block after Roe v. Wade and Donald Trump becoming reelected. Oh no, they're gonna get rid of they're gonna get rid of gay marriage because that's obviously high on Trump's agenda. He said sarcastically, he being me. But now, but then they said he's going to get rid of IVF. IVF's going to become illegal. And I get it, actually. I understand why people like Christian conservatives are anti-IVF because they create an embryo, a little tiny human in a petri dish. I guess I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist. So don't be taking notes. Then they take the little embryo and they put it inside a mama and then a baby. But it doesn't work like one for one. They have to do, and this is why like so many celebrity couples, famous people, like remember a million years ago back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, there was a show called John and Kate Plus 8. I believe that was a product of in vitro fertilization because they put a bunch of embryos in there and hope that one of them catches. And it makes kind of, now that I talk about it, it makes kind of an interesting statement about healthcare. And they're like, yeah, we're going to put 8 of them in there. And if you have quadruplets, we don't care. We just want that money. We want that money. So sorry about your sorry about your quadruplets. But hey, at least 4 is better than 1. And 1 is better than none. And you didn't want none. So how about 4? Gee, thanks. I don't know. Maybe Trump needs to Trump needs to limit access to IVF. But no, we need babies, right? That's the whole thing. This is what pro Elon people joke about when they hear about the 13 kids that he has. They say, well, he preaches dire population replacement level problem that we have, which is, I mean, I don't know if I trust the numbers, but they say that our replacement levels are, I don't know exactly the measurement, needs to be like over 2.1 or something like that, which means everybody needs to be having more than 2 kids as the numbers iron out. But we're only at like 1.6 or 1.7. And in the Asian world, it's even worse. It's one of the arguments that we've brought up on the show before for the mass immigration that we're seeing. So we got to stabilize the population. We got to have a workforce. What they really mean is we want to have a slave class that will work for peanuts, that will happily work. And I feel like, I mean, it's concerning, and I don't mean to go negative. There's still plenty of things to go through, but I feel like even though, I mean, look at what's happening in Europe. They're arresting people for posting things online. What are we going to do in America about that? Are we going to send in the troops? Nobody wants that. I don't know the answer to this problem because the effort to stop people from working, stop people from talking, it's happening all across the world, not just in the United States. And it's something that my international brothers and sisters are going to have to continue to fight against. And I don't know what the gun control laws are in Germany, but it sure feels like they want people to push back so that they can smash them and lock them in cages. But on to more positive things. Elon Musk is actually suggesting that we pay a dividend. By we, I mean the United States government pays a dividend to the American taxpayers based on all of the savings that we're getting from Doge. By Ben Q at the Gateway Pundit, Elon Musk showed interest in an innovative way of showing the country the savings his Department of Government Efficiency is making. Musk posted on the X platform on Tuesday saying he would, quote, check with the president about a proposal to send $5,000 checks to every American using money saved by Doge's cost-cutting operations. And I really like this idea because he's not suggesting, hey, check your watch about Fortnite, we're going to send everybody $5,000 checks to recoup the wasted tax money that they all sent to the U.S. government. It's being suggested that this would be an additional refund around tax time this time next year. And it would also be used as a tool to encourage people to get back into the workforce. And this just occurred to me. How easy is it going to be for that 400-pound lady buying Diet Mountain Dew and cartons of Marlboros to get back to work? If you're trying to create generations of dependence that will not push back against a totalitarian global empire that wants you to, as Tim Pool says, live in the pod and eat the bugs. I mean, isn't that lady, that hypothetical lady, a picture of the future of civilization? As people like Albert Bourla from Pfizer seem to crave. It's just something that has to be understood by the large part of the population, the larger part. These companies want to make money. And the government is supposed to be the bulwark against the exploitation of the citizens, right? I mean, that's why we have it. Build the roads, pay the police, the firemen, and then stay out of our lives. The rich people have other plans. And I think that's why we're all here, unfortunately. And I kind of, like, okay, who wouldn't want a $5,000 check back from the government? I mean, that would be awesome. Shit's expensive these days. I could put $5,000 to work right away. But do you really want that money? I mean, just spend it on something that isn't retarded, please. Or suspend federal taxes. How about that? Use that money to, I mean, I don't know. What would you like? Leave a comment. Send me an email. TheRealEarthVox@protonmail.com. Would you want the 5,000? Or would you want to, like, let's see, what would it be for me if I didn't have to pay federal income tax? It would be about $1,200 a month. That's like a rent payment, mortgage payment. Extra every month. So I feel like if I got, I don't know, let's be honest, all right? I would blow it either way. I would totally blow it. I wouldn't, I mean, my wife would probably save it. Here's how we had to replace all of the sewer pipe under our house, all the way to where it ties into the city sewer. It was like $10,000. And we were able to pay for that cash by saving all of the economic stimulus and our tax returns. Because when something like that happens, you may not know. You have a massive, catastrophic something happen to your house. You need a new roof. You need new sewer pipe. You need a new furnace. All of which I've had to suffer over the last 5 years of my life, as you would know if you listen to the show. You can take out a home improvement loan for, I don't know, something. It's much better than a credit card. I think they're advertising like 7%, which sucks based on what we've just come through. Years and years of 0%, 1%, 2%, 3%. Now it's like, I think I just saw this morning interest rates have come down to like 6.75 from 6.79. Don't quote me on that. We're somewhere in the ballpark there. Whereas a credit card is 29%. And who's tackling that issue? I mean, I'm no fan of government regulation. I really would like people to just do the right thing. Like I was arguing with my wife about the other day. So we got DoorDash again. And I know it's gross. But the DoorDasher on the way had to stop and help somebody who had been in an accident and provide actual like first aid care, which he told my wife in this message that he has training. So when he got there, my chips were soggy. And I thought I was just going through this process in my brain, not maliciously, because the last thing that I wanted, please believe me, the last thing I wanted was for this driver to suffer any kind of negative consequences by stopping to help somebody and having my food arrive late. But my brain just went there. How do I get my money back for these soggy chips? Well, there's no way that that happens. Not without this poor driver getting in trouble for bringing our order late to my house. And there's no way that I would even dream of coming close to doing anything that would result in potential discipline for him or really for any other worker that I come across in my day-to-day life. Usually when I see someone, somebody's having a bad day, they're rude to me at the coffee drive up or whatever, I think something bad happened to that person recently over the weekend, or this person is just sick of the day-to-day grind and feeling like they have no control over their life. And when you feel like you don't have control, you try to find ways to get that control. And I think sometimes that means being a dick to the people at your job. And I think we're probably all guilty of that. Now, speaking of being a dick, I love this. I love this segue. I love it. Speaking of being a dick to the people that you work with, Kash Patel has been confirmed as the director of the FBI. And for some reason, it opened a new window that really freaked me out. How the hell do I share that? That's not what I wanted to happen. We're going to start over. Oh, you guys. I was freaking out. It opened a new window and I thought that I stopped the stream and that I had just been talking to nobody for who knows how many minutes. All right, maybe this will work. Nope, it opens it. So I unfortunately can't share this with you, but maybe the next thing. It'll be something to add to the list of things to fix before the next show next weekend. And it comes, and this is probably the reason, I'll just level with you. I like using this vtnews.ai. They send me emails with the top stories every day. And then they give me little breakdowns with an assortment of headlines that sort of paint the picture. I mean, you should listen to me. You should read the whole story and get the full picture. Because reading a headline is no way to inform yourself. And if you're not going to be informed, you really should stay out of the conversation. I'm just going to leave it there. But some of these headlines, I'll just read a few from USA Today. New FBI director. Senate approves Kash Patel for 10-year term. From The Guardian. U.S. Senate narrowly confirms Kash Patel as next FBI director. From The Independent. Kash Patel confirmed as FBI director after fears he will, quote, carry out Trump's bidding. And what is he supposed to do, by the way? What's he supposed to do? He's just been hired by the president. Did the president hire him to do whatever he wants? A prime example of leftist propaganda. This guy is doing what he's supposed to do. He has a job to do. Hired by a guy that expects him to do what he says. Because that's what you do when your boss tells you to do something. And where is the one that I was looking for? It was in the email. It was on my phone. Maybe it was taken down because of how ridiculous it was. It's not showing here. The gist of it was Kash Patel confirmed as FBI director, even though he was known for pushing, promoting conspiracy theories. Well, what conspiracy theories has he pushed? Was my immediate question. And the first one from Grok here is like really one of my favorites. And you know what? I wonder if I bet if I copy that link, go back here, paste it in, I said, why? I don't know why everything has to be so damn difficult. Boy, it really just doesn't want to. It's not going. Why? I don't understand this. I don't understand why it's not opening in the window that I can share it with you. It just started doing this. This is something brand new, and how wonderful that it's happening right when I'm trying to have a stream. The list of promoted conspiracy theories started with this first one, which is actually kind of debunks the whole story. Which is probably why the article doesn't exist anymore. Number 1, QAnon related theories. Patel has been linked to the QAnon movement, which claims that a secret cabal of Satan worshiping. Oh, look, it's working again. Good grief. All right. We're doing it. Thanks for sticking it out with me, folks. Good Lord. Patel has been linked to the QAnon movement, which claims that a secret cabal of Satan worshiping pedophiles controls the government, and that Donald Trump is a messianic figure fighting against it. While Patel has publicly denied being a follower during his Senate confirmation hearing on January 30th, 2025, stating he rejects, quote, baseless conspiracy theories, evidence suggests otherwise. He has made over 50 appearances on podcasts that promote QAnon or related content, praised the movement's audience, and used QAnon slogans. So the argument that he's promoted conspiracy theories is tied to the fact that he has appeared on podcasts that may have mentioned this particular conspiracy theory. But moving on. Another conspiracy theory Kash Patel has been known to promote: 2020 election fraud. Patel has repeatedly promoted the debunked claim that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from Donald Trump. This includes endorsing narratives from the film 2000 Mules, which falsely alleged falsely alleged. Thanks, Grok. Falsely how? When it was never investigated. Okay. All right. I'm not going to get all worked up about it. Falsely alleged widespread ballot stuffing, a theory its creator, Dinesh D'Souza, filmmaker, later apologized for after a defamation lawsuit. Now, these are the kind of things you do when a lawsuit's going to bankrupt you. Okay, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. You were right. Patel's children's book, quote, The Plot Against the King, 2000 Mules, repackages this conspiracy for younger readers, depicting Trump as a victim of electoral fraud orchestrated by his enemies. This makes me more excited about Kash Patel being the new FBI director. Number 3, deep state conspiracy. Patel frequently references the deep state, a supposed shadowy network of government officials hostile to Trump and his supporters. He has claimed this group obstructs the will of the American people, a theme central to his book, Government Gangsters, and his public statements. Number 4, January 6th is an FBI setup. Patel has pushed the baseless theory that the FBI orchestrated or encouraged the January 6th, 2021 Capitol riot to entrap Trump supporters. Did they not? Do we not already know this? The Russian collusion hoax. Patel asserts that the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election was a fabricated, quote, hoax by the deep state to undermine Trump. Has it not been proven that that's exactly what happened? Number 6, Italian satellite election interference. During his, then this is super, super fringe. That's why I bring it up for you. During his time as a Pentagon official in late 2020, Patel reportedly spread a fringe theory that Italian military satellites were used to switch Trump votes to Biden votes in the 2020 election. Again, no sort of investigation, no nothing. All of these cases were thrown out based on standing, which is a bullshit precedent. And I really hope that this is something we get to the bottom of, because we need to know. I mean, this is like number 1 for me. This is close to my heart. Of course, it's not really the resistance to Kash Patel has nothing to do with those conspiracy theories. But it has to do with this. No. Clicking wrong buttons. Here we go, here we go, here we go. I'm moving too fast for my own good. No, go, I said.
Adam Schiff is the worst criminal in Congress in the last 250 years. Adam Schiff went to the podium day after day after day saying, I know nothing about this. We're not going to discuss it. We're going to protect it. And then Adam Schiff, led the prosecution of the impeachment trial in the Senate of President Donald Trump. Talk about someone who was conflicted out of the game because he was part of the hoax that brought Charmella in, manufactured that false accusation, and then peddled it out to the world. And he continued, not surprising. He's lied about almost everything in his life. But now he lied just to set up a presidential impeachment. And that's what I was talking about, these disinformation campaigns. He should be investigated because he lied to the world about his interactions with Charmella, who is a whistleblower, and I can't stress it enough, that started a presidential impeachment.
And was pushed and supported by Adam Schiff. That's what we're worried about. That's what Adam Schiff is worried about. That's what the mainstream media is concerned about. It's what I voted for. I am so excited, you guys. Let's get rid of the waste, the fraud, the abuse, the corruption. Finally. Now Donald Trump doesn't have to worry about getting reelected. And he's going hard. Kash Patel reported, I believe, yesterday. Yep, the 22nd. Why does it keep opening these things in different windows? I'm going to have to mess with some settings. One of my favorite things about computers. Let me see. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong in my notes here. Let me right click, open link with. I mean, I apologize, you guys. This has never happened to me before. There was obviously an update that occurred that changed my settings, and this is one of the core things that really drives me crazy about this. Just technology in general. Why won't you open the link? Good God. It's real rage, folks. It's real. I'm authentic. That's why you come here. It's not even the link that I wanted to open. God, this is going to be the end of me. Oh, well, at least that part's working. Good God, I mean, it wasn't even letting me paste the link into the browser that I wanted and open it. Make it make sense. Somebody help. Send help. It's just gonna be me down here strangling my actual computer monitor. Maybe I can share the screen without ending the stream. This headline from the New York Post. Kash Patel tapped to run ATF. Tells FBI staff to, quote, pause responses to Musk's email justifying their work. So this is sort of a sub-headline. Elon Musk has told the people in the organizations that he's auditing to send him an email telling them what they accomplished last week. Pretty simple, pretty fair, pretty straightforward. The main story is that Kash Patel has been appointed to interim chief of the ATF. And it's been long rumored in libertarian and conservative circles that the ATF needs to end because it's unconstitutional and it's an infringement on our rights as it is. And I think that Kash Patel is going to end the ATF. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing. We have government officials that can perform the same good functions that the ATF was performing without any of the bad rights trampling policies that the ATF had been implementing in the past. I really hope this happens. But of course, what's the argument from the left? Tell me. This is going to increase gun violence. Oh no, you guys. Oh no. Nobody's going to be able to walk down the road anymore because we're all going to get shot because Trump is hiring. Oh, this is another thing that's just driven me crazy. It's a very Nazi form of government that Trump is implementing with these loyalist people that are going to do what he says and dismantle these long-running democratic agencies that we had. It's all a bunch of bullshit. We voted for this. We voted for this. I voted for this. And this is what I want. And I'm excited. I am excited about it. And here is Stephen Miller explaining to these woeful morons exactly that.
Room. It is true that many of the people in this room for 4 years failed to cover the fact that Joe Biden was mentally incompetent and was not running the country. It is also true that many people in this room who have used this talking point that Elon is not elected fail to understand how government works. So I'm glad for the opportunity for a brief civics lesson. A president is elected by the whole American people. He's the only official in the entire government that is elected by the entire nation, right? Judges are appointed, members of Congress are elected at the district or state level, just one man. And the Constitution, Article 2, has a clause known as the vesting clause, and it says the executive power shall be vested in a president, singular. The whole will of democracy is imbued into the elected president. That president then appoints staff to then impose that democratic will onto the government. The threat to democracy, indeed the existential threat to democracy, is the unelected bureaucracy of lifetime tenured civil servants who believe they answer to no one, who believe they can do whatever they want without consequence, who believe they can set their own agenda no matter what Americans vote for. So Americans vote for radical FBI reform, and FBI agents say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote for radical reform on our energy policies, but EPA bureaucrats say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote to end DEI, racist DEI policies, and lawyers in the Department of Justice say they don't want to change. What President Trump is doing is he is removing federal bureaucrats who are defying democracy by failing to implement his lawful orders, which are the will of the whole American people.
Yes. Voted on by a substantial majority, not as sweeping a landslide as I think many of us would have liked to see. But of course, we have to take cheating into account. I'm one of those. I think there is cheating. I think there's been cheating. I think we need to get rid of universal vote by mail. I think we need to make it happen. I don't know how we do it, but I think a top priority that needs to happen before the midterms is securing our elections. Because it's a poll. It's a way by we establish the thoughts and feelings and political alignments of the citizens, the population of the whole country, at least the population of voters. And we have to know. We have to know that our elections are secure and legitimate. Here's another reason we voted for Trump.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it? I'm complying with state and federal laws. We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding. Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. The NCAA.
Again, how does the population of Maine vote for Donald Trump? 45%. 45% of Maine voted for Donald Trump in 2024. And that's going to change in the positive. 760,495 total votes. 342,223 for Trump. They voted for savings. They voted to end corruption. They voted to end waste, fraud, and abuse. They voted for the end of DEI. And this governor says, oh, we'll see you in court. That's why we voted for Donald Trump. He called her out in front of everybody. What are you doing? Your people elected me. The people of the country elected Donald Trump to do all these things. And I find it very concerning that so many people are just wantonly disregarding everything that he's trying to do that is positive or negative or up for debate. Again, we're sliding into this culture of we have to resist everything that Donald Trump does because he's a Nazi, and that's all you need to know, and don't look into it any further. And I think really it's one of the reasons that he's kind of put Elon Musk in charge of carrying out all of these cuts and all of these audits. Because now they have to hate on Elon Musk, who is, I think more people probably like Elon Musk than like Donald Trump. I could be wrong. But it's not like we didn't know that it was happening. We knew that we were voting for Donald Trump. We were voting for Elon Musk. We were voting for RFK. We were voting for Tulsi Gabbard. We were voting for Kash Patel. We were voting for Lori Chavez Derrimer to be the labor secretary. We were voting for Linda McMahon to be the secretary of education. And now the mainstream media has the nerve to come at you and say, oh no, this isn't the thing. We're all in, yeah, they're all in big trouble. We, not so much. We're going to be sitting pretty. We're going to be hammering checks for all the tax money that's been saved by this administration. And if your argument is Trump is a Nazi, you're either stupid or you're a liar. Like just a couple of cool stories. I mean, not really cool. I found this one to be very interesting because the Department of Justice has announced that they're going to investigate the billing practices of United Healthcare. And remember, United Healthcare, they were the company that employed the CEO, Brian Simpson, I believe was his name, who was killed in cold blood on the streets of New York by Luigi Mangione, allegedly. Now the DOJ has begun an investigation, and the stock price of this company has tanked by 44% and has slid even farther since the story was announced on Friday. Now, what does that tell you? What does that tell you about how people are feeling about United Health Group's billing practices? Probably not great. Obviously, the public believes that they're going to find some pretty unsavory things in this investigation, because how else does a company's value tank by almost half? 44%. I mean, good or bad, I don't know. We're going to find out. It's a developing story. My final note here. Oh, for the local peeps, you know I live in Washington State. Many of the listeners also in Washington State. Shout out Washington State. Just another example of state-sponsored, state wasting. I'll just say it. State-sponsored degeneracy. From the Post-Millennial, Seattle state-funded nonprofit promotes bondage and jack-off clubs. Tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money were given to a Seattle foundation that supports bondage programming and, quote, jack-off clubs, end quote, where members can share masturbation and mutual touch in an open group setting. And I'm just going to leave it right there because that's pretty gross. And at least a handful of our esteemed leaders that we've put our trust and faith in saw fit to spend our taxes on this ridiculous, disgusting bullshit. And what are we going to do about it? And this is why I keep coming back to elections. We need secure elections. Because I just can't help wonder, hearing a story like this, did we really elect this person? Or were they installed by somebody like George Soros? It remains to be seen. But I'll keep going after it. I'm not scared. Thank you all very much for joining me. I really appreciate you. Give me a follow on Twitch, on YouTube, on X, on Minds.com, on Rumble. I've been neglecting Rumble. I want to get it up there. You can send a voicemail to 701-787-1121. Let me know what you think. I crave your feedback. I want to know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe co-hosts will come back. I think guests will come back at least. Because I just love it. I mean, this is why I implore you to give me your feedback, because I love hearing what other people think about things. Not necessarily about the quality of this show, which can be, hit or miss, whatever. I'm not trying to be self-deprecating, just realistic. But when I hear other people's opinions, it helps inform my own opinion. It educates me. It helps me understand. It gives me wisdom and knowledge, and that's what I want. Give me your wisdom and knowledge, please, by sending an email to therealearthvox@protonmail.com. We're gonna keep it going. I'm thinking about a weekly show. I'm thinking about a morning show. I'm thinking about maybe 2 times a week. I'm thinking like Monday morning and Thursday morning, cover the news that came out over the weekend when nobody was really paying attention. And then on Thursday, cover the big stories that came out on Tuesday and Wednesday, because this is just how the news cycle works. But I want to know what you think. I want to know what you want. So reach out to me. Let me know. I'll be back.